Is Bear Tower Defense a good game? Well, let's get to the bottom of this. So what is Bear Tower Defense? Bear Tower Defense is like your usually tower defense styled Roblox game where you face amoebas in this case, called bobs, in waves that try to destroy Yoshi's altar basically. And you must protect Yoshi's with bears. And these bears really like their cheese because you pay them with cheese to get stronger and all of that. Just like any game, you can upgrade your towers, you can place them strategically and make your own loadouts, though at first you gotta unlock a lot of stuff. But the grind is very short, to be honest. Let's keep that aside for now. Well, the main gameplay, you basically just place the towers, you face enemies, they can fly, they can be hidden, or they have armor, or they have other special features. I mean, there was also a bob that basically goes completely invisible for a short amount of time and then reappearing eventually, so they are at that time vulnerable, but other than that go invisible again. Or I don't know, there's also a bob that can multiply itself, one that explodes and all of that. Also, a main feature is the wave bosses. At a certain wave there will be the first wave boss, which is basically a very strong bob with a lot of HP, though at the later modes they have a lot more than just being a lot of HP basically. And the bosses kick in really hard, they're not easy, and some of the waves are not that easy either. It's very balanced, so you will definitely have a challenge, but if it's too easy for you, you can always pick a harder mode or harder map for more rewards, of course. Every time you beat a mode for the first time on a map, you will get a medal towards that mode, rewarding you more stuff basically. Speaking of which, you can also get items that you can use for temporary boosts that make your tower stronger, as well as equipable items that give your towers permanent advantages, like an orb that basically gives bobs the effect of taking 10% more damage, or a bounty poster that makes the tower deal 20% more damage against wave bosses, and of course the last boss. But there are also other items which I don't want to spoil at all. I mean, it's supposed to be a review, not I'll tell you the entire game immediately. But what makes this game also special is the matchmaking system directly at the beginning is pretty good. You can play solo without really having a disadvantage. You can definitely solo everything in the game. Multiplayer is not really the biggest advantage, especially when you're in the end game and the others are max level. It's not really better with multiplayer, depends on the player of course. Yeah, solo is not a disadvantage, unlike plenty tower defense games for some reason where multiplayer is literally a must and solo is basically your doom in the higher difficulties most of the times. It's very annoying, but hey, Bear Tower Defense solved it. There are also, may I mention, the puzzles in rounds that give you, basically when you do them, a minigame, and when you solve that minigame, it's by the way optional, you get more cheese in them for 30 seconds. It's not that crazy, but better than doing nothing, I suppose, while waiting for your towers to do something. But of course, at the later modes, you don't really got that much time for puzzles anymore, because things are taking quite a turn when you realize that it's not as easy anymore as beforehand. Well, also, the game has really great music, I must say, as well as the designs of the characters and the bears and everything is just very beautiful. It's really good, you know? So, aside from the main stuff, there are also achievements, quests, the body system and all of that. I'm gonna leave that to the side. I mean, if you play the game, you will see that immediately yourself, you know? But, so what are the flaws with Bear Tower Defense? We've talked pretty much about everything good, so what are the flaws? It's definitely not the grind. The grind is pretty fine. The difficulty, in my opinion, is pretty good though. There are plenty of people who hate medium mode, though I feel like it's pretty doable, even without a certain tower. Speaking of which, the towers are pretty balanced. But no, what is really the flaw here? I feel like the game's biggest flaw is definitely the repetitiveness. But then again, the devs will add more content soon. Don't know what soon is, but maybe in a month, maybe in 3 years. Okay, maybe not 3 years, but you know what I mean. Yeah, repetitiveness is really a bad thing here in this game. Definitely. I mean, you basically have the same enemies on the same maps, on the same modes. There's nothing different with each map. Yeah, the map layout is different, okay. Fine. I loved about Tower Heroes that you basically have completely unique enemies and all wave structures per map, but we don't got that here. I mean, easy mode and medium mode and hard mode are super similar on the start to the end and barely have unique enemies to them. It's yeah, sorry, but I can't give a point to that. Another thing is, of course, eventually the content runs out. Not only the repetitiveness, but also that you get really quickly done with everything, because there's not much content yet. But that's okay, the game is freshly out. It's absolutely normal for the game not to have absolutely everything at the start. I mean, they still want to do endless mode and also this raid option. Don't know what that is, but who knows. But still, I feel like there's some crucial things where I think like, I don't know if the devs are thinking about implementing such. So here are the solutions to certain problems. I feel like the main gameplay loop should definitely get increased so that easy, normal and hard are basically just an introduction to the game, and then later on it advances. Imagine we had per map a so-called challenge mode where unique enemies and wave structures and maybe rewards are present per map, completely different with each map. It would be amazing, though it would be level locked depending on the map difficulty. I don't know, Haunted Mansion maybe level 9 or something, maybe, but maps like the purple one, level 30 or level 35. Imagine getting an entire tower or a new skin or whatever, or a unique equipable item for beating a certain challenge mode on a certain map. That would be awesome. I mean, still, there's also many possibilities for new towers. I mean, imagine having mole bears in tower that just is obtainable for beating hard mode for 3 times or something like that, and then he will be placeable as a tower that basically debuffs enemies and also deals damage throwing his head or something, like in the Bear Star boss fight. Or having Whitey from Bear Alpha as a placeable tower who creates socks that walk down the path as minions basically to attack the mobs, like a summoner tower for the first, because we don't got any towers like that. And then imagine we had a skin for Whitey so he looks like Vector from the Vector boss fight in Bear Alpha. That would be pretty awesome. Unique skins, you know. But also, imagine we had the Tears Before Bedtime is a tower that basically flies towards Bobs across the map and basically reduces defense, knocks back, and like deals at the end of the attack series a lot of AoE damage basically. And if a Bob survives his radius for too long, he enrages and basically gets stronger for a temporary time. That would be awesome. Ideas like these, you know. Yeah. Oh yeah, one more thing is achievements. Have more achievements, like beating easy or medium or hard for the first time or multiple times gives you some rewards. That would be also very cool. Before I get to the summary, one small issue that could arise with bad tower defense is like what happens with most is the fear of missing out. Anyhow, don't be confused why this part looks a little different than the other video part, because this is after the video was already finished and made, a part I added later on because I forgot to add the FOMO part, the fear of missing out part, and how to fix it. In general, most tower defense games are haunted by this very issue, and bad tower defense maybe will be haunted in the future by this issue, which is gatekeeping of event towers, event modes, and event like skins and all of that sort of stuff. And here's my solution to fix it with gems. And also being able to revisit the old event modes basically through the sewers. I noticed there's like an entrance, so how about making it so you can use the sewers when you're level 50 or higher? I don't know, depends when Cheetah Man thinks is right. And make it so you can basically revisit the old game mode. And yeah, isn't that fun, right? And with the gems, it's basically like the Bear Star gems that you can get them through achievements or quests or like first clearance medals, all that sort of stuff. And with these gems you can basically buy the event cosmetics and also event towers. Very pricey and also a bit more grindy than normal stuff in the game, but I mean for good reason, right? You're basically buying something that's already passed, so yeah. Also, event maps can still reward the old rewards basically. Yeah, so there's to make sure there's absolutely no gatekeeping in the game basically for limited stuff. Yeah, so that means also that the bear promo skin that you got from the beginning of the game is probably the only like not buyable with gems. Yeah, and that's basically about this part. So in the summary, what are my thoughts about Bear Tower Defense? I feel like the game is good, but there's definitely still a lot of improving that needs to be done so the game doesn't die out like a candle. I'ma be real, I'm sick of seeing like 5 different tower defense games that have like maps and stuffs, and it's like the same modes, the same enemies on every single map, where you're sick seeing the same thing 30 more times, you know? Like Bloons Tower Defense has the same problem, TDX, TDS, all that sort of stuff. But either way, thanks for watching.